Ladies and gentlemen, a third pre-release for Minecraft Java Edition 1.16, the Nether update, has been released. This one brings to you an enormous amount of bug fixes, as well as a gameplay tweak or two. My name is slicedlime, I'm here to guide you through all the changes in Minecraft 1.16 pre-release 3. Let's start with gameplay changes and fixes. Food can now be placed on unlit campfires. It will still pop off if you extinguish a campfire, but if the campfire is already extinguished, you can now right-click on the campfire with a raw food item to place it down. You can now see under lava slightly better if you have a potion of fire resistance active. The offhand hotkey can now be used when hovering an item in an inventory, just like the hotbar items can, to directly move the item into the offhand slot. Together with this, the key binding has been renamed. It is now called Swap Item With Offhand rather than Swap Item In Hands. There was a bug that made fall damage get completely negated if you stepped up onto a separate block one tick after landing your fall. That has been fixed in this version. Shroomlights can now be composted. When using a Shroomlight on a composter, you have a 65% chance of adding a layer. The tutorial for punching wood now advances when breaking the Nether type of huge fungi as well. There was a bug in the pre-releases where Netherite recipes would show up in a crafting table despite being used in a smithing table. That is fixed in this version. If you set up an end portal in the Nether and use that to teleport to the end, you would enter the end properly but be in the wrong location. You'd keep your coordinates from the Nether instead of being teleported to the obsidian platform. And when using an end gateway, you would teleport but you would end up one half block too high up. When wearing certain armor, you could sometimes take less damage from burning when you are standing inside of a fire than when just burning outside of a fire. That is also fixed. If you were sneaking and mounted a vehicle, then you desync from the server, and you were unable to interact with the world after dismounting a boat while it was moving. When sneaking while flying underwater in creative, then you would stop flying after a few seconds. That is fixed together with some other swimming related fixes. Swimming up the side of flowing water didn't prevent you from drowning anymore. And items in waterlogged stairs didn't float up high enough to be caught by the water stream above the stair. If you're moving quickly and through a projectile, then it could sometimes hit yourself. That is fixed in this version. Large oak trees could replace blocks when they grew. That is fixed in this version. Charged respawn anchors now once again light up blocks around them. Maps from certain old versions would reset when those worlds were loaded into the newer versions. That is fixed in this version. When placing lily pads in creative mode, then sometimes the items would flash or even vanish from your hotbar. You could get the Oh Shiny advancement from distracting a baby piglin with gold, not just an adult. And the 2x2 advancement could be achieved by just breeding turtles. Let's talk about mob changes in this version. Newly spawned zombified piglins now pick up the aggro of already existing aggravated zombified piglins again, and a bunch of problems have been fixed with loot drops from mobs. Mobs killed by a player in creative mode didn't drop the rare player drop items or any experience. That is fixed in this version. And in a previous pre-release, a glitch was fixed where zombified piglins dropped XP and rare drops even if not killed by a player. That glitch has now been added back in, but it will at some point in the future be fixed. So if you're basing an automatic farm off of this glitch, be aware that at some point it will stop working. Piglins now hear you break chests or blocks of gold or any other type of block that they will protect, even if you're out of line of sight. That means that they will get angry at you even if they can't see that you are breaking the block. There was also a bug with piglins where they would constantly pick up and throw out golden nuggets. Striders had a problem where they only got warm when lava touched their legs. They will now get snuggly and warm when lava touches any part of their body. Let's go over some changes to spawning and despawning, and let's start with striders since we're already on that subject. Striders had become very rare in the previous development versions. They can now not only spawn on the surface of lava, but also in any lava block as long as there is an air block directly above the column of lava. And the bug with strider riders. Baby zombified piglins could spawn as chicken jockeys on top of striders. That has been fixed in this version. Nether fortress mobs will now once again spawn in the extended bounding box of the fortress. You couldn't spawn a wither in a horizontal arrangement if your Y level was below 2. That is also fixed in this version. And a bug has been fixed where mobs could sometimes despawn even if they were named with a name tag. More fixes to overworld mobs. The bee's wandering AI would try to go through three-way corners, that is fixed in this version, and they would also not avoid water properly, could lead to getting themselves killed. In one of the previous pre-releases there was also a change that made bees stay angry far longer than they used to, that is now fixed as well. Wolves now use their hostile appearance again whenever they are angry, not only after being attacked. Bats could break turtle eggs, that is fixed in this version. And the turtle eggs can now hatch on red sand as well as normal sand. Pigs moved very slowly in the previous pre-releases, that is also fixed. And the sea guardians had a very odd swimming behavior. Finally, if you teleported a mob while it was pathfinding, it would immediately start pathfinding back to where it was originally going. That is fixed in this version. Let's talk about some changes to worlds and world generation. First of all, the game will now attempt to recover worlds that were broken by being opened in Minecraft 1.16 pre-release 1. That pre-release could corrupt the world generation settings of a world, and when upgrading such worlds by loading them into this version, the game will attempt to provide a template world generation settings file that will at least make the world work. The distribution of nether fortresses has changed in this version. They are now slightly more common than they were in previous pre-releases. Ruined portals that spawn in lava lakes will now have any non-full blocks that displace lava be replaced by lava blocks to avoid there being weird gaps in the lava. Some of the Hoglin stable bastion pieces were not used, that has been fixed in this version. And the bottom half of icebergs would always generate at Y level 62, even in worlds where the sea level had been changed. And spruce generation was broken and could generate far too small or too large trees, that is fixed in this version as well. Bunch of fixes to superflat and other customized worlds. The superflat customization screen would reset every time you backed out of it and didn't save the settings properly. In some of the superflat presets, the wrong structures were present. And the void superflat preset didn't have its starting platform. The superflat block selection is now properly used again even if the biome is specified, and the terrain decorations are back in the overworld superflat preset. There are a couple of fixes to buffet worlds as well, and stone would generate in the floating islands preset and netherrack would generate in the caves preset. Those have now been fixed to both generate with stone. Another problem with the caves worlds were that you could spawn inside of the bedrock ceiling, that is also fixed. One final world fix is that if you play the game in demo mode, then the demo world was not properly saved after quitting and then leaving the game. A few sound fixes in this version. If you were looking at a redstone ore block and placed a block, then this action would play no sound. Jumping with a horse didn't play the horse jumping sound. And sometimes the overworld music could start playing even when you were in the nether. Visual fixes in this pre-release. The nether particles had collision and would get stuck on the bottom of blocks, that is fixed in this version. A couple of visual glitches have also been fixed when using a left-handed mode and swimming. Piglin visuals have also been fixed when piglins were performing many actions like dancing or targeting or looking at an item, their chest plate wouldn't adjust to the new pose. The head and torso of a piglin would also detach and float around during the celebration dance, and the head of a piglin would stick in an offset position after the dance was over. On multiplayer servers, piglins and hoglins would also shake like they were converting in the overworld, even in the nether. A turtle shell used as a helmet by a piglin would cause a missing texture error, that is fixed in this version. The pufferfish spikes model was broken in one side, that is also fixed. And a couple of texture fixes have been done where the observer powered texture didn't match the unpowered one properly, and the potted cactus had the wrong texture on top. It had the side texture of the cactus instead of the top texture. Wall heads and skulls were slightly offset, that is fixed in this version, as well as a large number of lighting, transparency and enchantment glint issues in the new fabulous rendering mode. Notably, those included swimming and the death of the Ender Dragon. A number of bugs have also been fixed where leashes were incorrectly positioned on certain entities. User interface fixes in this version. Game rule descriptions now span multiple lines if needed on the game rule screen. If you hit escape in the customized world's biome selection screen, you'll now get back to the previous screen properly instead of all the way back to the main menu. There's a new loading screen that is displayed while the game is reading world data. This goes for loading, for creating, or for recreating a world. The recipe book search function now works properly the first time you open the recipe book. The zombified piglin spawn egg is now placed alphabetically properly, and the font of the enchantments displayed in the enchanting table is now back to its old self. The credits list has been updated to include all of the Minecraft developers and the new composer Lena Rain. The game's splash texts are currently being temporarily replaced by the COVID-19 awareness splashes. However, behind this, an update has been done to the splash text in the game's original data files. This is the splash text sexy that has been replaced with moderately attractive. In addition to this, a long list of text fixes have been done, mostly to capitalization errors on texts on buttons. Technical changes in this version. The seed command had been turned backwards. It was available to all players on multiplayer servers, but not available in a single player world. That has been changed so it is not available to players without operator status on servers, and it is always available in a single player world. The Nether portal block didn't have a loot table assigned, it does now, so you can make the Nether portal drop loot. The advancement trigger Minecraft:tick now supports the player predicate. The show text tell raw hover event didn't work for components that needed resolving, such as NBT, score, or selector arguments. That is fixed in this version. New lines in tell raw would add a space at the beginning of the new line. That is also fixed. And when using the new under argument to the spread players command, that didn't prevent invalid values from being input. That is fixed in this version. Villagers can now be summoned with a specific type, even if you don't also specify a profession. And dolphins with no AI set can no longer drown. There are 3 new block tags in this version. They are Infiniburn Overworld, Infiniburn End, and Infiniburn Nether. For resource packs there's one update as well. Piglins no longer have their own unique versions of helmet textures. Those textures have been removed. In addition, there are updates to stability and performance. In a previous snapshot, region files were changed so they were opened in synchronous mode. This has been changed to now only be done on Windows, not on other operating systems. The status of this feature can also be manually controlled. You can change this by changing sync chunk right in server.properties for a server, or sync chunk right in options.txt for a client. This fixes a number of errors where it would take over a minute to close a world on certain systems, and where you could get a failed to access level error message when opening a world from a Ceph's mount in Linux. In addition to this, a whole boatload of crash fixes in this version. And those are all the changes in this pre-release. Remember that snapshots and pre-releases are testing versions and are less well tested than full releases. They can contain critical issues and might even corrupt your world, and any world loaded into this version can never be safely downgraded to a previous version again. So if you try this version, do so on a separate world or on a backup of your world. With that said, if you want to try it out and you don't know how to, then click on the link on a card on the video right now or in the video description. That'll take you to a tutorial video about how to get and play the latest Minecraft snapshot or pre-release. And that was all I had for you this time. I hope you found this update video useful, and if you did, please help me out in return, leave a like and share it with your friends. If you want to stay up to date with the latest Minecraft news, then please subscribe to this channel where I make update videos about every new snapshot, pre-release and the release of Minecraft. And don't forget to hit that bell icon, select all, so you get notified when new videos are out. My name is slicedlime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.